Hey guys, good evening and welcome to another U.S. men's national team live stream here on Stateside Footy. Before we get into it, do yourselves a very big favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. And make sure you turn on your notification bells because we actually have a lot of cool content coming up, a lot of cool guests. And so you want to make sure that you don't miss that notification. All right, so let's get into it. Of course, the U.S. men's national team are back after what I consider a very good performance, a very good result against a team like Ecuador, a team that just didn't concede goals. And of course, the U.S. men's national team essentially had what I consider their best performance under new head coach Mauricio Pochettino. Now, tonight, they get another interesting test in a team like Australia. And I understand, man, it's Australia. A lot of people look at it and say, well, shit, it's Australia. But let's not act like this is going to be a walk in the park, because right now, Australia, according to the ELO World Rankings, are ranked number 26, and they have climbed 12 spots in their world ranking off the back of 7 consecutive wins. And of course, their biggest win was against Japan. But this team has not lost since September of 2024 when they lost 2-1 to Bahrain. And so as far as I'm concerned, this team is coming into this one absolutely in form and on fire, which is something that cannot be said necessarily for the U.S. men's national team. Now, one of the things that I think we should talk about before this one is the fact that, Mauricio Pochettino, I believe now, has his entire thumb on this national team. I think the players have bought in now. The expectation levels have been set, and I think judging by what we saw from Christian Pulisic in that first match, really kind of said everything that I needed to know. Generally speaking, a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, if Mauricio Pochettino had come to Christian Pulisic and asked him if he wanted to play, considering, the whole ankle scenario coming into Ecuador, chances were pretty good that he probably would have been like, nah, man, I'm not going to play. But now all of a sudden, you look at it and he's coming off the bench in the 75th minute, looking for an opportunity to win that match. And I think that kind of goes to show, I guess you can say the influence of what Mauricio Pochettino has instilled in this team. This team is playing good, but what's most importantly, I think, they're looking at every single opportunity as a way to improve and to galvanize this team as we get close to the 2026 World Cup. First and foremost, let's go ahead and welcome my guy, Nate Holloway. Nate, I hope you're doing well. RIFC till we die. Speaking of them, they won the last home game 5-0. Last 2 on the road against North Carolina and New Mexico. By the way, I'm a little partial to New Mexico, considering I'm all about Albuquerque, New Mexico, but he goes on to say 2-0 USA. Speaking of this, let's go ahead and look at today's lineup. The starting 11 for your U.S. men's national team. And of course, Pochettino has kept the 3-4-2-1. A little bit of changes today. And of course, we're going to get into those as well, too. Starting in net, of course, it's U.S. number 1, Matt Freese. The back 3, Miles Robinson gets his second consecutive start, which is kind of interesting considering that we hadn't seen Miles Robinson with the national team, gets called in, and now makes his second consecutive start. In the center would be Chris Richards, and on the left side of this back 3 is going to be Mark McKenzie, and I'm absolutely thrilled that Mark McKenzie gets his first start because he has been in. Hasn't necessarily got the minutes to prove himself, to prove that he is worthy to replace a guy like Tim Ream. I think, skill for skill, he's probably a little bit better, although Ream is probably the best center back with the ball at his feet. But it's nice to see Mark McKenzie get rewarded with a start tonight, and it's absolutely needed because, one of the things that we saw with that goal by Enner Valencia is the fact that, while this team is pushing up, and on the counter, they get caught out. Yes, Chris Richards got flat-footed, but unfortunately, Tim Ream just does not have that top-end speed to necessarily close the gap, which is probably the reason why Mark McKenzie is, gets put into the lineup to see if, that doesn't happen. The midfield 4 is going to be Tim Way on the right-hand side at the wingback position. Again, I'm not exactly shocked by this. We saw this in the first game. There were times where he looked good. There was times where he looked like he kind of got caught out a little bit. But that being said, he's back again in that position. No issues with this one as Alex Freeman moves to the left-hand side tonight. So no Max Arfston. Freeman will be in there with an opportunity playing a little bit out of position. The question is whether or not he's going to be able, I guess you could say, to facilitate the needs on the left-hand side versus the right, considering they have to keep the width. The double pivot tonight is going to be James Sands. Welcome back to the U.S. men's national team. And Christian Roldan, who everybody thought was on this roster for eyes and vibes. But the reality is Mauricio Pochettino rewards those type of players that had otherwise had produced in former windows, as we saw last window against Japan. So he is back in the starting lineup. Underneath will be Christian Pulisic on the left and Weston McKennie underneath, which is going to be interesting because, again, McKennie gets the opportunity. So no Malik Tillman. And, of course, Haji Wright gets the start up top, and I'm actually okay with this. Haji Wright, for those that haven't been paying attention, has been ripping up the championship for Coventry City. He comes in. His form is absolutely beautiful. Again, we're going to find out if there is really drop-off behind Flo Balogun. But I guess when you look at the starting 11, it is good enough to beat Australia. There is no doubt about that. And, from that standpoint, judging by the, I guess you can say the comments on X, this is absolute a dog shit starting 11. I don't necessarily agree with that. I actually certainly think that, this team is good enough to get a result tonight, and I'm fully expecting a result tonight. But that being said, if you guys were not expecting rotation tonight, I don't know what to tell you, although I was the one coming into the Ecuador match saying that your starting 11 versus Ecuador should be the starting 11 against Australia. But Mauricio Pochettino felt differently. Fair enough. Let's take a look quickly. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Australia tonight because they're coming out in a 3-4-3. Their goalkeeper, Ryan, and of course, Jason Garcia is going to be on the right side of a back three with Alessandro Cercati, who plays for Parma. On the left side is going to be Burgess. At the right wing position, we have Jordan Boss, and then we have Aidan O'Neill in the middle, along with Maximilio Ballard. On the left side is Italiano with the front three of Metcalf, Boyle, and D'Agostino. Of course, Boyle plays for Hibernian in the Scottish Prem, and D'Agostino plays for Viking, I believe, in the Norwegish Allsvenskan. I can't really pronounce that word. But that being said, that is what Australia is coming at the U.S. tonight. And again, this is not a match where you can, this is not exactly a match where you can, just kind of throw your hand and be like, it's Australia. It's not how it works. Australia is in form. They're on fire. Essentially haven't lost a match in a year. These are, this is the type of performance Australia is bringing their first team. Because just like the U.S., this is a team that has to prepare adequately for the World Cup as well, too. And they're not taking this lightly. As a matter of fact, they're looking at this as an opportunity to get over on the United States. And so this is going to have to be the same type of performance as we saw against Ecuador, the same performance we saw against Japan. It has to, the United States essentially has to control every aspect of the run of play. They have to be the dominant side. But most importantly, they're going to have to be able to put a few goals behind Australia tonight and potentially do this early, not only to get the crowd and the momentum on their side, but also to, when's the last time that we've ever seen the U.S. men's national team put the sword to an opponent early and essentially put this one away before the half. So from that standpoint, this is a great opportunity for the U.S. to do that. Before we get into it, because the players are now on the pitch in Commerce City, Colorado, as we are getting dangerously close for this one, I will say that I'm okay with tonight's lineup. I was expecting a certain amount of rotation. Now, I thought that rotation would probably be in the form of who's going to be coming off the bench first off, that type of thing. But that being said, Pochettino has made some changes, and I'm perfectly okay with it. The first thing that I will say is that I was a little surprised that Miles Robinson got another start. I wasn't necessarily 100% impressed with his performance against Ecuador. He wasn't necessarily a liability, but, a back three, of Richards, McKenzie, and Ream probably seemed to be in order. I understand the necessary need to drop Ream from the lineup tonight. And again, when you see that type of speed and physicality blow past your back three, getting caught, trying to push up, getting caught on the counter. Now the inclination is with a guy like Chris Richards, you like normally you would play him on the outside, which is why Crystal Palace has him playing on the right side. And you're probably going to use your veteran piece, your I guess you could say maybe your slower piece a little bit more centrally, because when these type of things happen, you have to have top end speed to potentially close it down. But Chris Richards' ability is the reason why he's playing more central. So that in that standpoint, they're going to jump to a guy like Mark McKenzie, who does have some pace. But of course, where he plays in Toulouse, and he plays off the left side in Toulouse. So from this standpoint, there should be no drop off, and that's the understanding of Mark McKenzie playing on the left-hand side. As far as the Christian Roldan takes, it's mind-numbingly dumb. Because if Christian Roldan was having the same type of year and he was playing in the championship, or he's playing in the Dutch Eredivisie, there would be no issues and no arguments. It's the simple fact that he plays in Major League Soccer, and there is this weird narrative, surrounding Major League Soccer, that if you play your club football in Major League Soccer, you should be nowhere near the national team, and that might hold true for a guy like maybe Jesus Ferreira, or say Reggie Cannon, or whatever the case may be. But when you're talking about veteran leadership and winners, Christian Roldan has won everything there is to win in North America. He's a leader. He brings the same type of intensity and leadership to the men's national team as he does with the Sounders. And oh, by the way, his play is certainly not going to be a liability tonight against a team like Australia. And so you can understand why Pochettino is rewarding certain players, for the consistency and the leadership that he brings. And oh, by the way, it's a national team that doesn't necessarily have a tremendous amount of leadership. So there's that as well too. I guess, for me at least, there's a few different interesting aspects with this one, considering that, Timmy Weah is going to be back on the right-hand side as the wing back, but Alex Freeman scoots over to the left. To me, it's going to be interesting, considering that, right-footed players take a different approach to the left side. When it comes to 1v1 defending situations, it's not going to be an issue. But trying to play forward, hips have to turn out in order for them to, to push the ball higher up the pitch. And as far as defenders goes, it's not necessarily hard to defend, through balls from right-footed players off the left-hand side. So it's going to be interesting to see whether, that's going to be a little bit more inverted with his runs versus to the outside. It's going to be quite interesting. And actually, it looks like Peacock actually has Freeman under McKennie and Weah under Pulisic. Either way, still a right-footed player. But that being said, what I will, before we kick off, I will say that the player that actually matters tonight is going to be the captain, Christian Pulisic. As far as I'm concerned, that is the leader tonight. This is a guy, as far as I'm concerned, you want to stamp yourself with this team. It starts tonight against Australia. Follow up that performance than what we saw against Japan, a couple weeks back. Obviously the formation change did something for him, and it kind of unlocked him a little bit. Okay, fine. You had a nice assist in that game against Japan, and now it's time to actually, remind people of exactly why you are respected in the manner that you're respected, for all the wonderful things he does for AC Milan. Now it's time to do it for the national team, because it's been a very long time since Christian had that type of performance. with the national team. And again, you're going against a little bit of a rotated Australian squad. So from that standpoint, man, there are no excuses. So it looks like we're getting very, very, very close to this one. It looks like the national anthems are done. Before we get into it again, before we start this one, make sure you hit that like and subscribe buttons and turn on your notifications, because again, here on Stateside Footy, not only do we do live streams, but of course, we also have really cool guests as well too. And so make sure you want to get yourself notified for that. Looks like we have Rich Rod, my guy from the 908. He says, if we don't beat the Aussies 6-0, that game is a failure. Actually, for what I will say is if we score 2 or 3, it's all good, right? Considering Australia has not lost since last September, winners of 7 straight as far as wins, but they're unbeaten and quite a bit. To get like a 2 or 3-0, I'd be happy. And we're off, and it looks like Australia will control possession as they are playing from left to right, as that ball gets pushed all the way down the left, and it looks like it was Weah who got to it, as that through ball gets played all the way through to Matt Freese. So now the U.S. will hold possession here, as the U.S. are going to be wearing their traditional home whites, while the Aussies will be in their, I guess you could say, their Verde greens. As looks like Weah is trying to get held, as McKenzie's going to have to play this one forward, as it was Haji Wright who tried to hold it up, as that ball gets played out. So this will be an Australian throw in here. I'll tell you what, man. I give a lot of credit to Australia. Currently ranked number 26 in the ELO rankings, as this ball is going to get played forward here. It's McKennie, who plays it all the way to the right before playing it back to Miles Robinson and others. A U.S. reset, as Chris Richards will play this one down all the way to James Sands. And McKenzie plays it back to Richards, as the U.S. will reset again. Here's Sands. Actually, that was that? Yeah, that was Christian. My bad. As they try to play this around. And there was a touch right there before there was a whistle. As it was James Sands coming into the midfield, and it looks like he was hip checked right there. And the U.S. will restart here, as McKenzie will play this one back to Richards. And Australia now has kind of put a little bit of a press on there. And that ball swings all the way to the left. As it looks like McKenzie plays in Weah, and that ball was taken away, but there was a whistle. So the U.S. will restart here. And there's Maurizio. Is it me, or there's a little bit more gray in the beard right there? As we are back underway here with Miles Robinson. And now it's Richards. And it looks like it was Roldan playing on Robinson, as that ball gets pushed up as he was looking for Freeman. And looks like Aussie will play it forward, but that's kept in by the U.S. Interesting. He says Tim Cahill was the best Australian player ever. I don't know, man. Mili Jednek was actually pretty good too, man. Don't sleep on Mili. Mile Jednek, the Croatian Australian. Best known for his days at Crystal Palace, as that ball gets played forward. As it looks like the U.S. were kind of trapped on the touchline all the way up the right-hand side, but they play through it. And it looks like it's going to be McKenzie. And now it's rolled on. Here's Weah, 1v1 on the left-hand touch side, as he's going to play this one back. Now it gets played forward to Christian, who's going to try to skin his man to the outside, but that gets tipped out. And it will be an Italian throw-in, and here is not an Italian, an Australian throw-in, and it's Italiano who will have the throw-in as they try to play this one forward, but it's going to get all the way back, and it's going to be Mark McKenzie getting there first, who plays it all the way back to Matt Freeze. And the U.S. will restart. So it looks like Australia has come to play here, as they have no problem applying the pressure here. The interesting thing is it looks like they're also playing a pretty solid mid block as well too, as the U.S. has kind of been stuck on the wings. Trying to get forward here as that one goes all the way to Miles Robinson, who will play this forward. Not exactly the greatest touch right there, but there is a whistle. I mean, these days Australia is better than Italy. You're not lying. Italy's development has been piss poor, but also, because there is a want to play beautiful football in the modern game. There's a lot of, I guess you can say, as that ball gets tried to tap forward, looks like Timmy Weah was trying to play it to himself. That one gets deflected all the way up the pitch on the left-hand side, and it's Christian trying to get into a foot race. Ultimately, it's won by Australia, as Australia tried to break on the counter. And it looks like Australia will hold possession, but the U.S. has them under pressure here. And the interesting thing is Italy just wants to play this beautiful high possession, free flowing attacking football, and it's just not their style. Like the funny thing is Italy, has they're like a country with no flag. I mean, it's wild to think that Italy can't get past Israel or get past some of these weaker European squads, without forgetting that Italy has always been a pragmatic football team, and they have lost their identity, man. As Freeze now will have to play this quick, and that one goes all the way up the pitch, and out comes Ryan to collect this one, and Australia will try again. But Australia did themselves a solid by moving to the AFC. Better competition than Oceania, and of course the only other national team that ball gets poked forward, that gets poked forward, but right there to clean it up is Australia, as that one gets played forward, as McKenzie will try to tip it on, as that one gets played out, and it'll be an Australia throw-in. Their only competition in Oceania was New Zealand, and you can only play New Zealand, so many times. And it's not exactly the hard thing to do to win trophies in Oceania. So, they decided to go to the AFC, and of course they get, better competition, but, Australia still can produce players. Now, it's not at the level of Spain or the United States or any of those type of teams. But that being said, it's like, the A-League continues to get better as a league. And some of those players move on to Europe. So as long as Australia is putting guys in Europe, their national team is going to continue to get better. And the last time Australia had a really good national team was under Ange Postecoglou when they won the AFC Championship. They won the AFC, whatever their Gold Cup is, but having teams like South Korea and Japan, as that one goes, it's going to go all the way up. And it looks like McKinney's going to switch here. Here's Weah 1v1, as he's going to play this forward to Christian. Christian is going to play this one back. And now they're going to circle. as that one looks like that one goes back to Mackenzie. And the U.S. now are going to have to play this back again as they tried going up the right. That's a nice little central ball. Held in. As looked like Christian tried to tip it right there to Haji right, but now Australia will hold possession as the U.S. will bring pressure. And that one gets played all the way back to Ryan as Australia will now hold possession. Europe may have better teams all around than South America, but South America is way more entertaining to watch. You're not wrong. Watching the Argentinian Primera, the Brazilian Primera, the fan experience is just wonderful. But the football is next level, and when you consider that a lot of teams are exciting to watch with the budgets they actually have compared to the European counterparts, you can understand exactly why European sides continue to scout and develop down in those countries, because the product, even with the young, even with the youth, is entertaining as hell. I actually have a lot of respect for the South American countries, Common Bowl, because as that ball gets played up the right-hand side, here's Freeman now, and he will hold possession. That's a good ball in. Haji got held up right there as he falls, but it looks like Australia will hold possession. And now they try to clear it, as Chris Richards will come down to it. And the U.S. will reset. If I had to, certainly by numbers, you would probably assume that, Brazil or Argentina probably develops and sends the most off to Europe. But, the underrated killer of the group is Colombia. The Colombian system produces some of the best talent in the world. And yet their league still isn't really on the same isn't on the same level as Argentina, or Brazil, but yet their national team is just always a group of killers. As play resets and as Australia will try to push forward here. Yeah, it looked like that was a great play right there by Christian Roldan, but that ball will shoot forward into no man's land. So here comes Australia now trying to break forward, and they got a runner. And it looks like that's going to be offside. But the U.S., it's funny because, when we see the U20s lose to a team like Morocco, and you see the fallout from the U20 World Cup, and, we hear I guess you can say the armchair developmental warriors say that the U.S., can't produce. And it's like, dude, it's funny because it's like you don't know what you're talking about. Because certainly the talent has gotten better in the last 30 years. The problem with the U.S. youth is the coaching is still the same as it was 30 years ago. The coaching is exactly what holds this program back. Because there's no creativity. There's no want for a player to grow into a position. It is literally as rigid as it possibly gets. And what really held back the U20s was Mitrovic, their head coach. As that one gets played in, and it looks like it was Christian trying to get that one right there, but there is a whistle, so it looks like the U.S. will have possession here. When you lose to a team like Morocco, there's nothing wrong with that. Morocco is a very good team, but when you see them, beating Italy and beating France on the way to that match, certainly there was good wins in there. As that one gets played out, and it will be a U.S. throw-in. Like I didn't think that the U20s had a bad tournament. I just think they're held back by rigid coaching that refuses to improve. That's the problem. As Weah will throw this one in. As that one gets played back to Freeze. Well, the interesting thing is we were talking about Europe and Australia and some of these other things. And, I got a little onto the player development side, which is kind of my thing. And I was talking a little bit about the U20s, as it looks like the U.S. will have possession here. And I didn't think it was sad at all. I thought the U20s actually had a fairly good tournament. There's no shame in losing to a team like Morocco, because that national team program is strong from the top all the way down. And those, as Pulisic is down now, as like Morocco continues just to produce absolute killers, as we see that again. And it looked like that might have been Jerry. Look, it might have been Jerry right there on that slide tackle right there, as Christian finally is up now. But yeah, like when the U20s beat France and they beat Italy on their way to get to a team like Morocco. But again, like I certainly thought that the U.S. had definitely had their opportunities, but again, the coaching is what's going to restrict the overall. The coaching is what's going to restrict the overall improvement of the U.S. youth national teams, right? Because again, it's so strict and rigid. That's the one thing that hasn't changed in 30 years in U.S. development. As that ball gets headed back and there's Freeze. As play restarts, here's Chris Richards now on the ball. As McKenzie will try to play this forward. Here's Christian. Nice little dump right there by Timmy Weah. And now he's got the ball trying to move up the left-hand side. As Weah and Christian are playing a little 1-2 right there before that ball ultimately goes back to McKenzie and the U.S. recycles. So we're about 16 minutes in yet, and the U.S. has yet to get a shot on goal, has yet to really penetrate the Australian box. And here's Freeman trying to go inside as that ball gets taken away. And again, Australia, very good defense right there. And there's the counterattack. That's a ball forward. And it's going to be Miles Robinson there to get there first. That's actually a nice little play right there by Miles. As it was Boyle making that run. And of course, Boyle applies his trade in the Scottish Premier League for Hibs. As Australia now will have to play this one back. As they will again shoot down the left-hand side. And again, it'll be Boyle, but right there is Miles Robinson. For a team that has to win 6-0, I don't think they have to win 6-0 for this to be successful. I definitely disagree with that. Certainly they have to win. Okay, let's not make a mistake. They can't afford to drop one to Australia. But as that ball gets played in the box, tries to cut in, shoots. Oh, and Australia just scored. As the Socceroos get on the board here in the 18th minute. That was a very good play here as that ball gets thrown in. As it was tipped in the box. And he just came around the defenders and puts one in. That was a great goal right there. Horrible defense from the U.S. right there as that one gets tipped. And that's actually a heads-up play right there because he was the throw-in man. Ooh. Ooh, that was bad. That was an absolutely terrible goal to concede right there. Ooh, that was bad. As Australia now takes the early lead in the 17th minute. As that'll be Jordan Boss with the goal there. As the U.S. now will try to counter quickly, but that one will be taken away, and that'll get played out. And it looks like it'll be I think that's actually going to be an Australia throw-in right there. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nate. It really was. It was, I hate to say it, but it was actually a lapse in judgment right there to allow Jordan Boss to come from a throw-in position to weave his way into the box and actually being able to not only win the ball back, but put a shot on. As it looks like there might have been a foul right there on D'Agostino. Rich Rod says, unbelievable. Looks good versus Ecuador now this. Well, but that being said, against Ecuador, they had their best 11 out, which is that one gets headed back on, and there's Ryan right there to take this one. What I will say is, prior to the match against Ecuador, it was really the 11 that you had out for Ecuador had to be the same 11 against Australia. There was no need to rotate, as Ryan will play this one up the left-hand side, headed forward. And now that one gets played all the way up the right-hand side, as that one will get out for a goal kick. Good defense right there by Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie. And of course, Australia did beat Canada. It looks like on Friday night. 1-0 was the final there. As Freeze will play this one up the right hand side as Freeman tried to go after it, but it'll come down, and that one gets played forward and out. As they beat Canada 1-0 in Montreal at Saputo. And as we were watching the replay on that goal, the crazy thing wasn't necessarily the air. It's the fact that they just stood around and ball watched as Jordan Boss just knifed his way through. As the U.S. will look for something there, as that one is going to be played all the way up to Christian on the left-hand side, 1v1. Way is on the overlap. Here's Christian. Christian trying to play it through. Gets headed away and out. As that's held in, here's Weah. And Weah just kicks it out. As the U.S. looks unbelievably disjointed at the moment. No link-up play centrally, and it looks like Weah is uncomfortable there on that left-hand side. As Australia will throw this in. As the U.S. will hold possession here, as they're going to try to move quickly. Australia has a man down. As that one moves centrally. That ball gets ripped. And now here comes Australia down the right-hand side. They play it centrally. Trying to get flicked on, but right there is Freeman. And the U.S. will try again. As they're going to try to play this long, trying to find Haji right. Not a bad idea. But Haji was flanked by two defenders, and that one will get out for an Australia throw-in. Yeah, I think they will. One of the things that I will say, Rich, is that, the usually training is geared for that first match. And when you had that 11, which I assume was set well ahead of that match versus Ecuador. So there was time to actually find there was time to actually find rhythm and get timing in between the pairings before that first one. But then when you rotate, it's not the same time frame, and it looks like these guys just aren't on the same page right now. As that one's going to move forward. See that again, like Australia is just knifing through the center of the pitch right now. As that one's going to get played in, tipped away, and the U.S. will clear. And there's a whistle. Richards never disappoints. Gets beat by Ener Valencia. That's 35 years old, and today gets beat again. Yeah, listen, he wasn't the only one standing around ball watching. Yeah. Jerry is dirty. And that's the second whistle on Jerry. And it looks like this time it's a yellow, rightfully. As Christian stays down. As the physios come out for Pulisic. And of course, he has a sketchy ankle as we see Jerry again here. And he just steps on the back of the foot right there. That's going to be a yellow all day long. And Christian now will get up. As looks like the U.S. has a couple guys there on the sideline. Suspend him. Suspend him. Suspend him. It's madness. As it looks like Christian's up. Not exactly looking thrilled, and neither is Pochettino. His team is currently getting ran over by an Australian team that's it looks like they're absolutely clicking. Yeah. Listen, I'm not making excuses. I agree with you. He is our best defender. But let's not pretend that he was the only one ball watching. And it looks like and it looks like Diego Luna's getting ready here. As Freeze will play this long. As that ball is going to get played in. Good idea, but that ball immediately gets cleared. This match was supposed to be, I guess you can say, the crescendo of the window, right? I expected the result against Ecuador. I really did. And this was supposed to be the match that I guess you can say all the vibes were leading into the direction of them having a performance against Australia that kind of stamped things a little bit. And I got to be honest with you, man. Pochettino is just, his rotation was just a little much. Now, a lot of that has to do with, yeah, I guess finding different combinations. But that being said, I don't think they were expecting Australia to come out the way that they did, as that one's going to get played forward. And it looks like it's Haji who's going to play it over to Weah. Here's Weah, 1v1, trying to cut in, and Weah will put one on as Ryan saves. That was a good save right there by Ryan, as the U.S. actually have a good shot on goal right here, as Weah just cuts in on his right foot. Good save by Ryan right there. Yep. Ajaman and Luna. Yep. Man, it looks like Luna's on. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Ace. I don't think Richards is taking it easy. Here's Luna trying to knife through. Holds possession though, as that will go out to the left-hand side. Here's Weah, 1v1. And he's got to play this one back. As that floats down, it's McKennie. And he's got to play this one back. As the U.S. are having trouble breaking down Australia's back line here. And there was nowhere to go for Freeman, and so now the U.S. are going to have to play this one all the way back. There's just no central area threats here. As they're going to try to play this one forward, tipped forward, but Haji Wright was nowhere in the area. As that one will go out. That's the thing, is there's just there's no creation with inside that forward line, and our link up play is not existent. We're not able to transition easily. And now that Luna's on, he's going to have to be the dude, as that one is going to try to get played forward. That's going to get tipped away and out. As here comes Richards now. Here's McKenzie. As Weah, that was a bad touch by Weah, as he tried to lead it onto the lead foot. That ball's going to get played through. Here's Haji. Go! That was a good through ball right there, as Haji Wright gets played in. Good goal for Haji, as we see this one again, as that was nearly taken away, but it was held in. And it looked like it might have been Christian Roldan, as we see this again. Yeah, it was Roldan who played it forward right onto the lead foot of Haji Wright, and Wright finishes. And now we're all equal here in the 33rd minute. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's how you shut up haters, right? That's exactly how you shut up haters, right? Christian Roldan is on the pitch for a reason. As that was a good through ball right there. Rich, that's funny. That's funny. We got a lot of work to do to get to 7. As that one gets played out, it'll be a U.S. throw-in. But that was, I have no idea what the fuck that was. As McKenzie just played it out. Okay, so this will be a throw-in high for Australia. Yeah, that's exactly right. That wasn't the, both McKenzie and Weah are having trouble. As looks like that's going to be a U.S. throw-in. Yeah. Weah had one earlier as Christian just essentially just looked at the ball as that was 5 feet to his left. Here come the U.S. now. As that ball goes out. As McKennie couldn't handle it. Great save right there by Luna. Here comes the U.S. again as that ball goes on. Ooh, as Roldan just missed it. That would have been something. A goal and assist for Roldan. As Roldan put one on. And he just nearly missed it. Yes, he is. He took that crown and Roldan just missed the post as he took the crown away from Josh Sargent. Oof. And it looked like it was McKenzie who got back there. So this will be an Australian throw-in here as we're in the 36th minute. As the U.S. equalized on a goal from Haji Wright, as it was a nice little through ball right there from Christian Roldan. As the U.S. will take this one away here, as that ball is going to get played forward. Here's McKennie. McKennie's going to try to play this over to the left, but that's going to go off a defender right there, Italiano. As McKennie was looking for the switch to the left-hand side. That'll get out for a corner. And it'll be Luna. No, I don't think he's done it all. As long as he keeps scoring and stays in form, he's going to get called in, but eventually results are going to have to matter. He's going to have to actually put the ball in the back of the net. As Luna will play one in. As that one, I guess, was headed by Haji. Looks like it was off his chest. I will say that Josh, he continues to get bites of the apple, but eventually he's going to have to score. He's going to have to put the ball in the back of the net. And I would probably assume that he's going to get called in again between now and the end of the World Cup, before the start of the World Cup. But if that ball was turned over, but there's going to be a whistle. And so here comes Australia now. He's probably going to get one more opportunity, but if he doesn't take it, it gives him something else to look at, especially if Flo Balogun is scoring goals, Pepe is scoring goals, and now Haji Wright scoring goals. As the U.S. are actually now have Australia under pressure. That one's turned over. Here's Diego Luna. That's a good pass from Luna into a central area, played forward. Kept in. Here's Freeman. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. I think you're right, Nate. That's what it looks like. Yeah, the U.S. is back passing to death. And now they'll swing this one to the right. Pass back. And they'll restart again. Pass back. As that ball's going to get played forward. Here's Freeman trying to play it in. Ugh. Ugh. I'm glad Haji's been able to get his chance to show why he's better than Josh Sargent. I actually think Sargent's the better player. He certainly has shown it at the club over the last 2 years, but Haji's certainly in form right now. And here come the U.S. now. Here's Freeman. That's a nice little pass right there as Haji will come down to make a touch. Pass back. Oh, we have the Persuasion Playground. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad you can join this live stream here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that was a bad pass. And now Australia will try to turn, but that was absolutely taken away right there. Here's Weah, who can't get a handle on it, but he keeps it in play. As Weah will cut in, tries to play one in. That's good defense right there. I appreciate it. As it was Italiano with good defense right here. So this will go out for another U.S. corner here. As we are in the 41st minute now, Australia took the lead, but the U.S. responded. As that one's going to get laid short. Ooh. As that one barely just goes over the crossbar right there. As we see it again, as it was rolled on, who barely missed the corner. As Christian Roldan has certainly been active in this first half. Couple decent shots and assists so far here in the first half. As Ryan will play this long here. And that one will find its way out. Last touch by the U.S. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it, man. Yeah, but by the way, are you saying because he hasn't scored for the national team since 2019 that he's a worse player than Haji Wright when Josh Sargent has lit up the championship for 2 years? I'm just trying to understand your metric here. Are you specifically saying for the national team that Haji's the better player? I would probably agree with that. If we're strictly speaking national team, but club, we're going to find out what Josh Sargent's made of this year because Norwich City is fucking garbage. And so, it's literally what Norwich City has is Josh Sargent. So we'll see. As now there's a brouhaha on the pitch. And it looks like James Sands is down. As we see it again, yeah. As it was D'Agostino with a nasty tackle right there. Oh, and it was D'Agostino's back foot that catches Sands. And now Chris Richards has something to say. Yeah, I agree. This is an absolute statement from Christian Roldan. Yep, he is. And I would agree with that. Christian's putting himself in a position where not only is he, not only is his link up play starting to actually pay dividends, but he's also putting himself in a position where he can actually be dangerous. This was the type of performance that will mean that Christian Roldan will be in the next window, 100%. And they're trying to argue right now on the pitch that there should be a yellow for D'Agostino. And when you see it, when you see the replay and you see that D'Agostino, that was not a a slide tackle with the intent to get the ball. Here comes Australia now, coming in from the right. He almost certainly needed a yellow, but again, 2 minutes of extra time here. And now we have another brouhaha as Chris Richards gets into the face of the ref here. And again, there's no warning. There's no yellow. There's no nothing. As we see it again. This time it was what, Aiden O'Neill? By the way, that tackle wasn't as bad as D'Agostino's. But still, though. It's cute that he plays good for the club. What's cute about it? He's doing his job. Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you, Ace. His play hasn't translated to the national team. I understand. That's why he's probably sitting at 4th or 5th on the depth chart right now in the striker pool. As that ball gets played forward, taken away. I completely agree with you that with the national team, he's probably not the third. I agree with you. I agree with you, Rich. And now Chris Richards, it almost feels like Richards is retaliating a little bit. As it looks like we're going to hit the half right here with the U.S. leading 1-1. As it was in the 19th minute was Jordan Boss who scored off the throw-in for Australia, as that one gets tipped back to Boss off throw-in, and he just essentially weaves his way through the box, untouched, unmarked. As Australia went up 1-0, and in the 34th minute, Haji Wright levels it on a nice through ball from Christian Roldan. And right now at the half, it is all level. Well, let's go ahead and get into the halftime stats real quick. All right, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so total shots on net, possession, US 70, Australia 30. Total shots 6-1 for the US. Shots on target 2, Australian 1. Accurate passes 289 for the US, 104 for Australia. Fouls committed, Australia 5, US 4, and the US hold the corner lead 2-0. As we're looking into the shots a little bit, shots from inside the box, US 3, Australia 1. Shots outside the box, US 3, Australia 0. passes total, 327 for the U.S., 141 for Australia, 160 passes to 81 in their own half for the U.S. In the opposition half, 129, Australia 23. Accurate long balls, U.S. 9, Australia 3. Accurate crosses, U.S. 2, Australia none. Throws 14 for Australia, 9 for the U.S. Touches in the opposition box, 14-3. Both have been whistled for 2 offsides, and Australia has 1 yellow card. Defense. It looks like U.S. leads the tackle battle 7-6. Interceptions are at 4-4. Let's see. Duels. U.S. leads the duel battle 17-14. Ground duels 12-8 for the U.S. Aerial duels 6-5 for Australia, and successful dribbles U.S. 1, Australia 0. So it does kind of paint a picture that, as far as possession, the U.S. certainly has handled possession, but for a good stretch there in that first half, the U.S. could not figure out a way to break down Australia's back line. And as this first half was progressing, we saw Christian Pulisic leave at the first half, and then there was a tactical change where it looked like the U.S. potentially had moved to a slightly different formation. And when that happened, it also kind of freed up some space in the middle there as Christian Roldan started getting very heavily involved in the attack. And of course, he put the nice through ball there and a nice assist there on Haji Wright's goal. Also, we've started seeing, we're starting to see a little bit more involvement from Weston McKennie. But again, right, some of these players have kind of disappeared a little bit, while others have actually stood up a little bit. I think James Sands has actually played pretty decently overall. Weah has struggled for sure. Luna came on, and he seemed to bring some energy. That energy seemed to get matched a little bit with Pulisic, but overall, I will say that Mark McKenzie has been a little disappointing. Way has been disappointing. Freeman's kind of been disappointing. Miles Robinson's actually one of the back three that's actually held up a little bit. And of course, it looks like right at the end of the first half, it looked like Chris Richards started to get fired up with the no calls. But overall, I will say that so far the player of the half is either going to be Haji Wright or Christian Roldan. But that being said, I will say that overall there has to be a lot more focus in the second half. I would actually like to see potential swaps. Maybe Malik Tillman for Weston McKennie. Wouldn't have a problem with that. Maybe even Aiden Morris or Tanner Tessman coming into this one. He says that Ace Lionel says, I highly doubt Josh will get called in again. I actually think he gets at least one more call before ultimately that goes in the opposite direction. Let's see. Let's turn our attention real quick before we get back to the U.S. as we look at CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. Yesterday, Honduras beat Haiti 3-0. Costa Rica beat Nicaragua 4-1. Curacao and Trinidad today drew even 1-1. The Reggae Boys, Jamaica, beat Bermuda 4-0. And at the half right now, Suriname is leading Panama 1-0. Later today, Guatemala will face El Salvador. And when you're looking at the final round of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, Suriname leads Panama by 3 points at the top of Group A. And so it's Suriname with 8 points over Panama's 5. The Reggae Boys lead Group B by 1 point as they're sitting on 9. 1 point back is Curacao, and 4 points back is Trinidad and Tobago. In Group C, Honduras leads that group with 8 points. Costa Rica is right behind them with 6. Haiti's got 5. And in the second place rankings, Curacao holds a 2-point lead over Costa Rica. So it looks like if things hold out through November, it looks like Suriname, Jamaica, and Honduras will punch their tickets to the World Cup. So that's absolutely incredible. So I guess congratulations will be in order if Suriname pulls this one off. But as we're looking right now, yeah, you're absolutely right. Canada and Colombia are tied 0-0 in the 68th minute right now. That's excellent. As I'm kind of hoping Canada gets a result out of this one. And currently, later today, Mexico plays Ecuador, and that match starts in about a half hour. But yeah, here's the thing, right? Overall, I would say it was a lackluster first half from the U.S. I think they were not prepared for the intensity in which Australia started the match. But as this first half progressed, it looked like the U.S. found their footing. They were able to get the equalizer, and now they sit in a position where there's probably going to be some potential moving in the second half, depending on whether or not Mauricio Pochettino is going to make halftime adjustments. One of the bigger disappointments, though, for me was Christian Pulisic. Never really got into the match. Came off the pitch. What I considered an injury that was more of a precaution than anything else. But I was looking forward to seeing number 10. More than anybody else, because again, it's been a while since Christian actually has played like Christian with the national team. And I actually wanted to see, as that first half unfolded, the space that Christian was going to be able to utilize. And it's unfortunate that we didn't necessarily get to see that. I would say that, Australia did a good job of making sure that he was marked and never really allowed to use space right there. And it's somewhat unfortunate, but overall, not a bad first half. So let me know exactly how you guys felt about the first half. Drop one into the chat. Let me know what you feel about halftime. Is there going to be any tactical switches that you would like to see? Are you satisfied with the attacking three of Luna, McKennie, and Haji? Right? Obviously, Haji gets the goal. Fantastic. But that being said, it feels like there's something left to be desired between Diego Luna and Weston McKennie. And again, McKennie just hasn't necessarily impressed. We saw him against Ecuador. I guess it was a so-so performance, and tonight there really hasn't been much from Wes. And again, we're in a position where, since we're now level, you're looking for some sort of spark from underneath, and hopefully, either Wes comes good in the second half, or maybe a guy like Malik Tillman comes on. Ace Lionel says he's hoping for a Mexico loss. Yeah, I am too, because quite frankly, fuck Mexico. And Argentina is 6-0 over Puerto Rico. Yeah, the mighty Puerto Ricans. Yeah, like I'm trying to remember, some good classic matches against Mexico. Now, granted, I do remember the '91 Gold Cup where we beat them. That was when the Legend of Dos Acero actually happened. When we beat Mexico in the semifinals in the '91 Gold Cup, and then we beat them again in the '95 Copa America. Yeah, the '99 Confederation Cup where we lost in the semifinal down in Azteca. But yeah, World Cup qualifier in 2001, 2005, 2009 at home. Let's see. Luna looks like at times he's a step late in transition. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's what, that's funny that you bring that up, because the interesting thing is, like, I'm starting to wonder whether or not, Luna's actually going to get a ticket punch to the World Cup, right? You're gonna have to be able to consistently step in and match it, match it pace for pace. And it just feels like, as far as I'm concerned right now, like, we've only seen Luna play well against CONCACAF minnows. We haven't seen him. Yeah, I do too. That's a good shout. That's a very good shout. I want to see Brendan too. That's a very good shout. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Brendan Aronson come on for McKennie, kind of playing that right-sided 10. Wouldn't mind seeing that, or even on the right side for Freeman. Wouldn't mind seeing it. But that's the thing with Luna. You wonder whether or not Luna is going to be able to hang, right? Because one of the things that, Luna's not going to be starting, right? So, Luna's probably going to be second off the bench, you probably assume. And in a World Cup situation where we're either chasing a winner or we're chasing an equalizer, it's not going to be hard for, even mediocre defenders on good teams, or just baseline competent defenders can't mark them out. And it kind of defeats the purpose of carrying a guy like Luna. But that being said, it's like, when you look at the 10 position, it's like, who do we got? Who do we got that can step in? It's like, yeah, Gio. People keep saying Gio, and it's like, Gio's not available. And I would love to see a string of performances, of good, solid performances where he's able to stay on the pitch and actually have impact before we're starting talking about national team call-ups, because he certainly hasn't earned the right to actually wear the badge yet. Not to say that it can't happen. And also the same thing with Yunus Musa. There's a reason why those two aren't in. But yeah, the interesting thing though, Ace, is that I actually kind of agree with you, right? Brendan Aronson, recently, Aronson won a starting spot with Leeds in the Premier League. He's playing on the right-hand side of an attacking three, and he's yet to necessarily get on the score sheet. But you know what you're going to get with, exactly what you're going to get with Brendan. You're going to get work rate, but you're also going to actually get a pretty solid passer. And of course, that was proven right last year in the championship. That dude's his ability to facilitate assists, put balls in good areas, is second to none. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that plays out. My guy Alan, man, the Rakdos Magnus, checking in. What's going on, my guy? He's saying, what was the Pulisic injury a bad one? No. It was Jeria, who essentially stepped on the back of his foot. Spikes out. He got a yellow for it, but it didn't look like it was bad at all. It looked like he was just brought out for precaution. That's all. Yeah, Luna has not shown up since the Gold Cup. Yeah, I would agree. As we begin the second half here, U.S. will hold possession. And we are underway here in the second half as the score is tied 1-1. As we will find out if the U.S. is able to kind of regroup. And see if they're able to kind of match the intensity of how they finished the first half of that. We'll look at that. Australia's trying to bully him off the ball. And they successfully did, as that ball gets played out for an Australia throw-in. As now they get around the corner. That ball's in. Ooh. They nearly scored right there. That was a good save by Freeze, by the way. If we win, will we qualify? We're already in the World Cup. We're a host nation, my guy. As we see that again, that was a good. That shot was blocked. I thought it got through. It certainly did it, as it was. As it looked like it might have been Boyle right there that got one through, but it was blocked before it got to Freeze. So as play resumes, U.S. will have possession here. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, another case of ball watching. As it looks like there's going to be a whistle. You know, the interesting thing is, like, Chris Richards, obviously Premier League defender. And he's been caught napping, but now there's going to be a free kick here. As D'Agostino got the better of him here. As it'll be Boyle sitting on top of this free kick here in a dangerous area. And you wonder whether or not I don't get it. You're absolutely. I don't understand how we got caught ball watching again. So this will be Boyle, as the U.S. has their nice little wall there. As that doesn't get past the wall, but it's still held in by Australia. They're going to try to take a shot from long. As that one will get out for a goal kick. Yeah, we're hosting. U.S., Canada, and Mexico. It is a confederation host. As there'll be games in Mexico and Canada. As, it looks like Australia tried to rush Matt Freeze right there, who gets it away. As that was played long, but kept in by Australia. Oh, that was a nice slide tackle as Luna came in. And D'Agostino will get whistled for the foul. As the U.S. will have the free kick here. And we are back underway here. I actually listen, man. I'm the one that calls it straight down the middle, man. I've been kind of impressed with the intensity of which Australia's played. They're not afraid to jump in tackles. As that one is going to move up the pitch. As it looks like Weah tried to play someone on. As that when ball gets tipped away and deflected, that'll get out for a U.S. throw-in. But yeah. Their press has been spot on. Their mid block has been spot on. U.S. has been sloppy. And it looks like they showed up with absolutely no fear. As the U.S. will restart quick. As Haji does it again. Good goal right there from Haji Wright. As the U.S. now takes the lead, that was a smart restart right there from the U.S. As we see it again, it was a quick restart. As that one gets played out and immediately goes up, and Haji beats his defender. As that ball was played forward right on the end foot of Haji Ray, who cut in and puts one on. That was a beautiful goal from Haji. Good ball over the top, even better finish. As the U.S. now take the lead 2-1. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's Rakdos madness. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. As Nate Holloway says, 2 for Haji. As that's a good hold-up play. Here comes the U.S. on the break now. Trying to play it forward. As it looked like it was Freeman trying to get around, but he couldn't. And now there's a whistle on the pitch as it was Miles Robinson coming forward right there on Boyle. And Australia will hit the restart quick. And there's a turnover right there. Here come the U.S. as that one gets tipped out. So just as quick as Australia started, the U.S. is the one that made the statement as they lead 2-1. As the U.S. tried to play up the left-hand side and found nothing. As Roldan now will try to play this to the left-hand side. As that pass gets headed away. But again, the U.S. are trying to quicken response, but there was a foul right there on McKenzie. Haji certainly has been impressive tonight. As they replayed the goal right there. As Australia moves past the center line. As that one gets played out, so this will be a U.S. throw-in. As that'll swing around to McKenzie. As Australia is trying to apply a little it's funny. 2 assists from our vibes guy. Apparently the vibes were in good order tonight. As Christian Roldan certainly has had himself a game today. You were ironing? Getting some work clothes in order. That ball's taken away from Diego Luna. Tries to play it center. As they were trying to attack through the center part as that passing lane was taken away. That ball's going to get played forward. As it's going to be played around the corner here. And Australia is going to have to reset here in a dangerous area. As that swings to the left here. Oh, right through the legs. By Boss. The depth chart for strikers is going to be Flo, Pepe, and Haji as of right now. If Pepe is healthy, and he's in form. Pepe's on the team. As they're going to say that this is a free kick for Australia. So apparently they're gonna whistle one against Chris Richards again, as that one's gonna get whipped in and then played out. Yeah, That, I mean, right off the reset, that ball gets played forward. Mr. Roldan. 2 very good shots and 2 assists tonight for the Vibes guy. As Matt Freese will punch this one away. As that corner amounts to nothing, but this will be an Australia throw-in as they move quickly. Yeah, no. What's entertaining to me is like when you hear these so-called professional Twitter pundits talk about how certain MLS players should be nowhere near the national team, and then that said player turns around and actually has a performance. It's instant karma, man. It just lets you know that there's certain people that really just don't understand how national teams work, because that ball gets played forward, but there's Matt Freese. The reality is Major League Soccer has been involved with the national team since '98 and will continue to play a role, because your national team isn't your 20 best European-based players, right? Different players facilitate different roles for your team, and different players have different skill sets. That was nice little play by Miles Robinson, as that was an errant pass that will go right back out of bounds. I believe that was James Sands. So it looks like Australia is going to make some changes here, and they're going to do it at the hour mark. The foundation's starting to crack, Rich. The foundation's starting to crack. He'll accept nothing less than a 4-1. You started at 6, and now it's then it was 6-1, and now it's 4-1. But be honest, right? If they end up if this scoreline holds and it's 2-1 and we still get the W, I still have a sneaking suspicion you'll be happy. As here's Luna. As the U.S. will reset here with Chris Richards. As it's Miles Robinson. Plays it down to Freeman. Nice touch. As it looks like they were trying to go central, except the pass was errant. So Australia, as there's the whistle. Yeah. Good crowd against Ecuador. Good crowd against Australia tonight. It's nice to see. As it looks like Australia is going to make their switch now. It looks like it's a 4-sided switch. As Yazbek comes on. And I'll have those names for you in just a second. As Ballard comes off for Yazbek. And it looks like Rustic is on for Metcalf. As that one gets played back to Freeze. It looks like Torre is on for D'Agostino. And Irin Kuda is on for Boyle. So those are your 4 switches for Australia. As Luna's going to try to play this one forward, as he finds Mr. Weah, As Way is going to cut centrally, as McKinney will play it back. And that one actually got played off the ref right there. So let's see. I understand that the better players probably do play overseas, but a majority of American players still play in the States. It's important to give them the time and experience, even if they are the C team. Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's like, I think Pochettino actually, said it accurately, right? Just because you play overseas doesn't mean your league is better than Major League Soccer, right? For example, right? Like I still think in some aspects, Major League Soccer is better than the Eredivisie, the Dutch Eredivisie. It's certainly better than Serie B, better than the Scottish Premier League, right? So, I mean, that's the reality. Just because you play overseas doesn't necessarily mean you're playing in a better league. I still remember that 2014 World Cup team where Graham Zusi and Kyle Beckerman made the squad. As that one gets played all the way forward, that's going to be down the left-hand side. As that ball gets played in, but it gets deflected. Shit, that 2010 team. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, they only had 6 MLSers on that 2010 team. I got to pull that up, actually. As that ball gets whipped in, and it's cleared. Yeah, Jonathan Bornstein was on the team. Edson Buttle was on that team. Obviously, Landon, Robbie Finley. Yeah, there's always going to be certain players that are going to facilitate certain roles. And that, the interesting thing, that 2014 World Cup squad, in the face of the fact that Jurgen Klinsmann talked nothing but shit about Major League Soccer at the time. And it looks like Tanner Tessman and Brendan Aronson are coming in. So good call, man. By the way, good call, Ace. Because it looks like Brendan's coming in. Tessman's coming in. So on comes Tanner Tessman for James Sands. And it looks like Flo Balogun's coming in too. As Haji Wright comes off. As Haji had a double. As Flo Balogun will come on. And I would probably assume that Wes looks like Wes is staying on. And it looks like maybe Freeman comes off. No, Freeman stays on. As Aronson's on for Way. So there you go. As Australia will hold possession here. Let's see. But the star players have big obligations with the clubs they play for. MS players are more willing to rep the red, white, and blue. I actually think European players are equally are more willing to come to the national team. Players makes MLS. Yeah. Yeah, as that one, that's a nice little save right there on the left-hand touchline. As Australia will save it from going out as they hold possession here. Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Like I'm not sitting here happy clapping for Major League Soccer, right? Like I'm not naive to think that what I'm seeing is like at the highest level. That's certainly not the case, right? And I do agree with you that there are certain players that are playing overseas that are night and day better than the American player in Major League Soccer. But what I am saying is like your national team are always going to have spots on the team that are going to be facilitated by certain guys in Major League Soccer. As a necessity, our best keepers are in Major League Soccer, so that's obviously going to be a given. But that being said, like the Max Arsens of the world, the Christian Roldans of the world, are going to be on the World Cup roster as that passing lane was taken away. Here comes Australia around the right-hand side. It's deflected away. And here come the U.S., and that back pocket was picked. Jesus Christ, they picked that one quick. He was able to move off the half turn right there. It was super fucking quick. What's up, Dan Davenport? Good to see you. Good to see you. Love Dan Davenport, my Tottenham Hotspur buddy. Speaking of which, EPL will resume this weekend. That's going to be nice. Yeah, what's funny is like all these experts on Twitter seem to think that Gio, Musa, and Scally won't be a part of it, and it's like, dude, if Gio or Musa specifically, those two actually get playing time, is that one will go all the way over the head and out for a goal kick. If Gio and Musa get playing time and actually round into form, they're going to get called in, without a doubt. Scally's something completely different. But that being said, it's like, if Gio didn't get hurt and he was playing, he probably would have been in this window, without a doubt. You don't think Pochettino is tempted? I think he's very tempted. But he gave his commitment to the U.S. as that ball is going to get played forward. Here's Ballo, who's going to lay this one off to Luna. Plays it forward. Roldan is going to play it all the way to the right. That one's going to get tipped. But the things that you have to consider is the fact that U.S. Soccer will never let Pochettino out of his contract. Not to mention that I just don't think Pochettino is the type of guy that's going to leave the U.S. in the lurch 9 months before the World Cup. As Miles Robinson will play that one out. I'm sure Pochettino is tempted by Manchester United. That seems like that's the type of club that he would be intrigued by. As Matt Freeze skies it, but it's kept in. I am too. Ace, 100%. I think Tanner's been the most impressive as far as his development, like his evolution coming from Venezia to Ligue 1, having to adjust to the style of play and the physicality of Ligue 1, and then you just see him get better week after week after week. And that performance against Ecuador was a thing of beauty. I actually had Tanner as my man of the match against Ecuador. He was that good. As that ball gets played forward, And here come the U.S. on the break as that ball gets played up the left-hand side. And they will reset. Yeah, I actually did hear that. Thomas Frank will have a $100 million budget in the January window. As money talks, here's Balogun. And then they're going to say he's offside. Certainly money talks, but are there going to be players available that will make it worth Tottenham's while to be able to improve, right? Clearly they'll be able to improve certain areas, no doubt about it, but I'll see it when I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Como, the surprise package in Serie A, they're ninth currently. Como's a good team. Yep. Oh, Ace Leonel here says, fuck Mexico. They're up 1-0. Haji plays for one of my local teams. Yeah. Coventry's a fun little team, man. I like Coventry. Very much so. Frank Lampard has that team playing well. As Breeze now will play it off to the right. Here's Miles. Good pass right there. And now that's going to get played forward. As essentially Roldan will clear it. You think Haji gets moved in January? I don't think there's any chance that he does. Especially if Coventry are in a position, if they're within the top 3 come January and they're in one of the automatic promotion spots, there's no way he gets moved in January. As Balogun went up to make an attempt on that one, but that's going to come down as Australia will have possession here. U.S. leads 2-1. Both goals from Haji Wright. Both assists from Christian Roldan. As here comes Australia pushing down the left-hand side as they beats his man around the corner. That ball will go in, but it'll sail to the right-hand side. As it looks like that one was kicked away. That'll get out for a throw-in for Australia. As so far, the U.S. have 2 candidates for man of the match. Haji Wright right now probably leads it. As that one will go to the left-hand side here. I'd like to see a third goal from the U.S. to put this one away. As that one's taken away. As Luna heads this one back. As Aronson gets trapped along the touchline there. And he's got to play this one back to Matt Freese. As that one will get played forward, and there's just nobody there. And it looks like they have made a tactical switch as well too, because it looks like they're playing 4 in the back now. Looks like they're kind of playing 4-2-3-1. As here comes Australia just knifing through the central part of their part of the pitch. As that one's taken away. Here's Luna. As there's a whistle. Yeah, I don't want Haji to move either, and I don't think he will. I don't think Coventry is going to sell him. again, Coventry is going to be in a position where they're going to get promotion. And you like, if you want promotion, you hold on to Haji until the summer. As Aiden Morris will come in now. As Christian Roldan's night is done. As Max Arson comes in now. As McKinney's night's done. Good performance from Christian tonight. As I'm assuming now that Arfston will be on the left and they'll move Aronson to the right. That makes sense. Dan Davenport says he lives 30 miles south of Coventry. Okay. What town do you live in, bud? And Tessman the GOAT. Yeah. Tessman was my man of the match against Ecuador. As this will be a free kick here for Australia. As it will be Rustic, Ajden Rustic. Sitting over this one. Danbury, huh? As Italiano will come off for Miller. He actually played a pretty good game tonight. As we're in the 77th minute now, this will be a free kick. As Rustic will take this free kick here. As that ball gets whipped in. And there's Matt Freeze. Not much of a challenge for Freeze. As the U.S. will start again. As here come the U.S. Here's Aronson. As the most exciting soccer game you've been to is Stuttgart. I bet that was pretty good. And I'm surprised no Ajamang. I'm not necessarily surprised. As that one's going to get played in. Turns. In the box. Played forward. Oh, that looked like for sure number 3. Oh. How did that not go in? That's tipped forward. And it looks like that'll get out of play for U.S. throw-in. As we see this again. As Luna tipped it forward. It looked like it was Aronson. And he played it on. Oh, and Luna just hit it straight into the keeper right there. Oh. Yeah, dude, that, by the way, Ace, you're absolutely right. That was an absolute dime by Aronson. Yeah, that's exactly where Aronson gives you. He's clinical. I have heard that, Dan. I have. What was it? Here's Aronson now. Aronson will play it in. Here's Luna, and he pushes it wide. Yeah, I heard the San Siro is going to get essentially remodeled. Yeah, cut Luna. It's Luna. He hasn't been great. Another one for Luna. Yeah, he's had two. He's had two very, very good clear cut opportunities here, and unfortunately, just hasn't. Yeah, not finishing is. I mean, shit. The point blank shot on you. You got like your placement's got to be better. Like his placement was right into the essentially the gut of the keeper right there, and it's like he had the entire far post wide open. As it looks like Freeman's down now. As we have the quad physio on the pitch here, looking at both Freeman and the Aussie, oi. As we're in the 81st minute now, so we're approaching less than 10 minutes left. So I'm curious about your thoughts of this second half. I think it's been a missed opportunity late here in the second half, as the U.S. have actually had some clear-cut chances that they have not been able to take. In the meantime, Australia doesn't seem to have the same knack of getting forward as they did at the beginning of the second half. It's kind of interesting. Both the U.S. have actually played better as both halves have progressed. Overall, not as good as the Ecuador match. Not terrible. I will say that Luna has disrespected the crest. Yeah, I listen. That's the I guess you can say that is the difference, right? Is that clinical touch in the attacking third. And for the most part, I said it earlier. Like I wonder whether or not Luna actually has a ticket punch to the World Cup, right? Because again, it's outside of his Gold Cup and January window performance. It doesn't necessarily look like he's at the level needed, right? The idea, and the reason why Luna keeps getting called in is because Pochettino likes his fire, trusts him. But that being said, in a World Cup, when you're chasing an equalizer, or you're trying to find that go-ahead goal, right? You're going to need guys at the back end of that bench that you can trust, that can get forward and finish. These are the type of performances here that kind of make you second guess it a little bit, as Balogun's down a little bit. Australia, I guess, are not as strong as they used to be when they were had the likes of Kelwill, Viduka, Bosnich, Tim Cahill back in the day. Yeah, they're not bad though. Winners of 7 straight, haven't lost in a year. Back when they had Mille. People forget about Mille. As this ref is trying to get everything in order. Ace Lionel. Luna's lost his balls. As play resumes here, as we're now in the 85th minute, I would assume we'll have some stoppage time here. As that ball gets played forward down the right-hand side. As that looks like that'll get out. overall, I will say that the U.S. has looked disjointed. They have looked good at times, for sure, no doubt. But overall, like the focus and the intensity that we saw in that game against Ecuador is just not was not a thing tonight. It felt like the U.S. wasted good chunks of time. Playing clunky football. As that one moves all the way to the right. Here's Freeman. That's a good pass by Freeman. And Aronson will have to play this back. No, it's just that clinical precision. The link-up play really wasn't there for large stretches of this one. There's going to be a whistle there. I have no idea what that was right there from Aiden Morris. But I will say that one of the things that I like is the ability to find a result when you're not playing your best football, right? The ability to overcome adversity. That's something that does show character. And it's something that we hadn't seen in this team in quite some time. So from that standpoint, I think, a certain test was passed that Australia, for large stretches of this match, were probably the better team. But the U.S. were able to find 2 goals and were able to overcome it. Here's Luna. Looks like Ecuador is equalized. As Luna tried to play one forward and make a run, as that one will go out. Yeah, Tanner Tessman certainly had the better window, I will say. Morris, was lackluster. I will give you that. Off topic, crazy that Argentina has a friendly with Puerto Rico. Ecuador's on the board. Yes, he did, Dan. He went off with an injury. It wasn't a serious injury. It was a precaution. As we are approaching the 89th minute now. Ooh, nice save by Matt Freese. As again, Australia was able to essentially knife their way into the box and put a dangerous shot on. As that one will get played back out. Ooh. Yeah, I saw that too, Dan. Yeah. Brad Guzan announced his retirement. Good keeper. Here's Aronson now. Aronson plays it forward. As that'll get out for a corner. Nice play by Aronson to at least try to force a corner there. As we are now approaching the 90th minute. That was a pretty decent through pass right there to Aronson. Looks like the defender there had cut off the angle, so at the very least, Aronson draws a corner here. So it'll be Luna taking the corner. As that ball gets whipped in. As that stumbles past the back post. Kept in. As we have 4 minutes of added time here. As they're going to try to play this one in. Oh, nice. Shoots. Ooh, and it just goes wide. Ooh. As it was Aiden Morris. Yeah, I agree. That was a nice run. As Luna loses the ball there. As Australia's trying to counter. And there's Matt Freeze. As we are about 3.5 minutes away from the U.S. securing a pretty successful window here. All things considered. As that one will get headed on. As play will be stopped here. As thanks, man. I appreciate it, Nate. Who do you support in club soccer? By the way, who do you support, Dan? Just out of curiosity, bud. Yeah, Haji, I would probably assume Haji gets called in again. That's my assumption. You don't score a brace only to be left behind. As that one was played forward, a little too far forward for Freeman. As Ace says Barca, huh? He likes himself a little Yamin Lamal. A little Hansi Flick. As this one will come down as Australia now will try to play it forward. That's a nice little ball right there, but as that one will get out for a goal kick. Good defending right there by Miles. Miles actually quietly had himself a pretty solid game today. I'll give credit where credit's due. Miles played pretty well. I support the wonderful Tottenham Hotspur. I also am kind of partial to Crystal Palace as well too. As that one gets headed forward, as Australia are trying to get forward here, as that one gets played out. All right, Nate, you have yourself a good night, bud. And there's the final whistle as the U.S. holds on 2-1. There you go. I didn't know you supported Oxford, but yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it real quick as the U.S. hold on to 2-1. As Haji Wright scored both for the United States, and it looks like both were assisted by Christian Roldan. Let's go ahead and jump into the stats here as the final stats as the U.S. won the possession battle, 64-36. Total shots, the U.S. 10, Australia 9. Shots on target, 4-2 for the U.S. The U.S. had 2 big chances to Australia's 1. Accurate passes, the U.S. 515 to 254. Fouls committed, the U.S. 16, Australia 10, and the corner battle was even. Looking at the shots, U.S. had 5 shots on target to Australia's 3. Shots off target, shots on target 4-2. Shots inside the box were even at 6-6, and the U.S. had 4 shots outside the box to Australia's 3. Total passes, U.S. 593, Australia 326. Passes in the own half, U.S. 302, Australia 162. Opposition half, 213 to 92. The U.S. had 16 long balls, accurate long balls, to Australia's 10. Accurate crosses was even at 3-3. Touches in the opposition box, U.S. 22, Australia 12. Tackles, Australia 15, U.S. 12. Interceptions, Australia 10, U.S. 5. Keeper saves were even 2-2. Duels, Australia 43, U.S. 33. Ground duels 32-24, Australia. Aerial duels 11-9. And successful dribbles were even at 3, which kind of paints the picture that for the most part, the U.S. for large portions of this game, I can't speak English, were actually kind of sloppy. But that being said, they overcame adversity. I think that's kind of the most important part about this one. Finding a result when, when you're not playing well. And I think that actually shows a quality that we haven't seen in this team in quite some time. So overall, I actually think that this window was more about, more about overcoming than necessarily putting teams to the sword. Because if you remember, Ecuador took a 1-0 lead, and the U.S. actually had to fight for that equalizer. And tonight, after Australia scored early, in the midst of what I consider not exactly the greatest performance in the world, the U.S. were able to get 2 and hold off for a result. My man of the match tonight is just like with Ace Lanel. I actually agree with this. This would be my man of the match as well too. I think Haji Wright made a statement tonight, and I would probably assume that he gets called in during the November window as well too. I wouldn't be surprised if Christian Roldan gets called in as well, as his play was actually quite superb. As well too. So a lot of good performances. I thought Miles Robinson held his own today. Wasn't necessarily thrilled with the performance of James Sands. I thought James actually at times played well, but overall I wouldn't say it was a great performance. I didn't think Wes had a good performance tonight either. It was just kind of so-so. The ones that really struggled to me were Tim Weah. I thought Tim struggled quite a bit at times, and I thought Mark McKenzie, especially in that first half, didn't play well. At least he kind of somewhat rebounded in the second half, but for the most part, disappointing performances. I just thought their passing wasn't clean. Their link-up play wasn't there for large periods as well too. So overall, again, trying to find a result when otherwise you wouldn't. So from that standpoint, it was a pass. Overall, I think this window was actually a very successful one, getting 2 very quality results, and now you can actually carry that into the November window where you're going to get 2 teams that are night and day better than the U.S. There's no mistaking it. Paraguay, Uruguay, 2 teams that are going to bring so much pressure. That it's going to require total concentration on the part of the U.S. Right, and so there is some concern, but that being said, it's kind of a window where you can't rotate. Right, the reason why they were able to rotate tonight is because it was Australia. Right, so you're in certain terms you can get away with it, but you're not going to be able to be afforded that luxury against Paraguay, Uruguay. So from that standpoint, that roster has to be on point 100%. Again, Rich, I don't think Australia is a terrible team. Not even remotely. I think they're a mid team, but I don't think they're terrible. Rest in peace to D'Angelo. The singer D'Angelo or D'Angelo Barksdale? You let me know. Let me go ahead here for a sec, and I will give you guys the CONCACAF scores from today. As let's see, yesterday, Honduras beat Haiti 3-0. Costa Rica beat Nicaragua 4-1. Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago tied 1-1. The Reggae Boys beat Bermuda 4-0. Panama and Suriname are even right now 1-1, and that's in the 90+9. And El Salvador and Guatemala are 0-0 at the half. Standings in CONCACAF qualifying. Suriname and Panama right now are essentially tied at the top of Group A at 6 points, with El Salvador 2 points behind. Jamaica leads Group B by a single point with 9. Curaçao's in second place with 8. And Trinidad and Tobago is 3 points behind Curaçao for second place. And Honduras leads Group C by 2 points over Costa Rica. And Curaçao leads the second place standings right now over Costa Rica by 2 points. So that's where we stand with World Cup qualifying. And if things play out and hold, you're looking at a Jamaica, Honduras, and Suriname qualification for the World Cup. And of course, oh shit. Okay, so D'Angelo the singer died. Okay, that's too bad. Now my hate watch begins. Come on, Suriname. Oh man, so Diane Keaton died the other day. She was she was in the Father of the Bride movies. That's too bad too. Cancer, yeah. Canada is the only team from the Big Three that didn't get destroyed by Colombia. Yeah, I guess that's a positive. Although they lost to Australia on Friday, 1-0. All right. So what I will say is that again, overall, I thought this was a successful window, without a doubt. And again, considering where this team was 2 months ago to where this team is now, it's absolutely night and day. And of course, a lot of that goes to the fact that the roster's in form. Not only did we have the majority of our World Cup roster in camp, but a lot of these guys are in form. So obviously that that kind of goes hand in hand. But I actually thought their response to the criticism going into that Ecuador game was exactly what you want to see. But again, tonight a little sloppy against Australia, but again, they were able to overcome some adversity to get the to get that win tonight. So from that standpoint, absolutely, it's good to see it. It's good to see Haji Wright score goals, which is exactly what you want to see from Haji. Overall, it's tough to say a good team performance because it wasn't. It wasn't a good team performance as well. It was, a collection of 3 or 4 different individuals that played well tonight that was able to get it done. And that's usually, and that's just how it was. But that being said, the U.S. will be back in November against Paraguay and Uruguay, 2 teams that will definitely be in the World Cup, 2 teams that will not give the U.S. the luxury that a team like Australia afford. So from that standpoint, that intensity that we saw against Ecuador has to be on for 2 straight games. And they're going to have to figure out how to carry that intensity over to the second game. 100%. All right, let's see what looks good here. Let's see. Steve, I presume you're doing the watch along on Sunday. I believe so. I think so. At least that's the plan. And Sunday 9 a.m. against Austin Villa. Yes, I will be doing that 100%. Japan beating Brazil makes our win look better. All right, that's funny. Brazil has some fake Brazilians. That's great. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. A quick reminder that tomorrow I'm back at 6:00 Eastern as we play a game of stock up and stock down. I will tell you whose window has elevated them when it comes to certain positions. So that will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Of course, this weekend, the Premier League returns, and I will be back with the Hotspur watch along Sunday at 9 a.m. As the Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. So that should be fun. And of course, I think on Thursday, I have a guest lined up. It's probably going to be a little late. So check the social media accounts for that announcement. And you can find me on X at Stateside Footy, on Instagram at Stateside Footy 76 and on TikTok at Stateside Footy. I am available on all 3 platforms. So definitely look out for that announcement, the guest for Thursday night. And we will be recapping the U.S. men's national team window. So from that, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank Rich Rod, Nate Holloway, Ace Lionel, and of course my guy Dan Davenport. Man, you guys are awesome. So I will see you in November for the next U.S. men's national team window, but of course live streams throughout the weekend, and of course the normal U.S. men's national team programming. So until then, man, I hope you guys enjoy your evening. Enjoy the rest of the week, guys. Take care.
Rusted goalposts under fading